Hi guys, welcome to this motion design tutorial in Unreal Engine 5. Today we're gonna look at how to build this inside Unreal Engine and give you some particle effects, logo reveal. We're gonna look at some modeling as well as materials. And before I begin, I want to give a shout out to Hussein Khan. I took one of his tutorials and I took inspiration from it to create my project. That's where I took the glass pipe idea and the circles inside. So if you guys are interested in more motion design tutorials, it's got great ones. Go and check him out. And with this out of the way, we can begin. First off, let's enable the motion design plugin. In my case, it's already enabled, but I'll show you. Motion design, it's this one here. If you don't have it enabled, just check this box. You'll be prompted to restart the engine, and once you're back in, you'll be able to use it. Once you've done that, in the content browser, go to engine. If you can't see this folder, check in settings, make sure that show engine content is enabled. Once in here, in the search bar, type 3D motion, and you should see this 3D motion graphics level. Duplicate that. And let's rename it tutorial, and I'm gonna move it into my labels folder. So once it's there, we can go ahead and I'm gonna double click, save selected, and that's what you should see when you open the label. Now there is a bunch of things that we can get rid of from here, and first we're gonna get rid of this ring and the platform, as well as this cloner, so we're gonna add our own. Yes, and the effectors, we can delete them, and I think we're good to go like this. Yeah, that's perfect. We already got a post-process volume and some lighting in the scene, but we will change that anyway. Okay, let's go to modeling mode, and we're gonna drop our torus. I don't remember the exact measurements that I've used before, but in here I think this is okay as it is for me, but if you want to use the same measurements, you can just type this these 4 here. Make sure you go up on the slices, so it's gonna be smooth. Okay, I'm gonna click accept, and I'm gonna reset its location to 0. Then I'm gonna turn it 90 degrees, make sure that the snapping is on, so it's easier. 90, and then I'm gonna move it up on the z-axis 650, and we're gonna use this 650 value to align all our elements that we're going to add to the scene, so it's gonna be easier. Okay, now this is going to be our pipe, and the next thing that we have to do to make things a little bit easier is to start assigning the materials. I already have them in my project, but you can go to Fab, and if you type, I think was advanced glass material, enter, it's this one here, and it's free. If you select a personal license, you can just add it to the project, and you will get some high quality glass materials that you can assign to your pipe. Okay, so I'm gonna go and get the clear glass to the pipe, and there you go, we have that. So now we have to model the connectors, but before we do that, I actually want to start creating the particles inside, and see if I need to increase or decrease the size of this glass pipe. and then according to the final size of the glass pipe, we're gonna create the connectors. Okay, it's time to start bringing in some shapes. And the motion design, we're going to select a regular polygon, and it's already in 0 position. That's perfect. So we're gonna raise it up 650 on the z-axis, and it's gonna end up right in the center of our circle or our torus. Let's maybe make it an hexagon. Okay, now we need another tab here to continue, and you can take it from Windows, Operator Stack, and we're gonna add some modifiers. We're going to add an extrude modifier, and let's look. So we can extrude it a little bit more. Yeah, that's fine. And then we're going to add a bevel. Bevel, okay. Can inset like this. So to create some interesting shapes, you can play with these values. We'll leave this one at 1, and something like that looks pretty cool. Okay, we can use this. Okay, once you're happy with your shape, you can go ahead and should be create static mesh somewhere around here. Maybe. Okay, here in advanced, you can create static mesh. But before we do that, we need to assign a material, otherwise it's gonna give us an error when we're trying to save the shape. So I've already created some materials. So I'm going to show you how to create some very basic material that we can reuse over and over again. And it's not this one. Let's go here. I've got my folder with materials, and I've got a master material. And all I did here is I press free and left click to create a base color and make it all white, for example. Press OK and connect this one there, and then right click, convert to parameter, and type base color. Okay, so that's that. And then for everything else here, you can just press S, left click, and you basically gonna type whatever it's in here, you know, the metallic for metallic, specular for specular, roughness for roughness. And you can give like a default value of 0 or 1. We're gonna modify this in the instance anyway. So 1 for emissive as well. This is gonna control how much light it's emitted from the object. And here also add a normal, but you can ignore that. It's not needed for this particular case. So you can stop here roughness. Okay. Once this is done, go to the master material and create a material instance. So once you have the instances, you're gonna be able to control. You can create more and more, so you can change the color of each material, and without having to enter the graph again. I'm going to show you what I mean. So once I have created the material instance, let's say this is the first one that I created, I double click, go inside, and then you have access to the parameters, and you can change like something is metallic or is non-metallic, how much light it's emitted from the object, the roughness, and so on. So it's super convenient to work in this way. Okay, let's assign this material, and now we can go ahead and create the static mesh. Create a folder. I think I already have one with meshes and static meshes. Yeah, I'm gonna save it there. I think I already have one saved, so I'm not gonna do that. And let me just double check. Yes, there is one already. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this one. and I'm gonna use the one that I used in my project. Reset the location and bring it up to 650. Cool. Okay, we have our shape inside the scene. Now it's time to finally bring in the cloner. So go here on actors, well, in motion design mode, and double click cloner. Just gonna bring this into the scene, reset the position, oh no, not this one, but this one. Okay, another thing, we need to parent this object that we created to the cloner. In order to do that, we need to make it movable. So in the detail panel, just select movable, otherwise you cannot parent it. And we can just drag and drop it onto our cloner. Okay, now we can delete the default clone, and by default we're gonna get this grid that you can change into a circle. And let's actually bring this up so we can see it better, and then we're gonna select the YZ axis. Perfect. Let's position it where we like it, and now we can click on the shape. Let's actually rename this. Where's the rename? Edit, rename into shape 1, and we're gonna rename the cloner as well. I strongly advise you to do this, otherwise you're gonna get confused with all the cloners that we're going to bring into the scene. So cloner 1 with shape 1, cloner 2 with shape 2, and so on. Okay. Now we have this. Let's go into cloner, and no, actually before we reduce the shape, we reduce the scale of this object to a value of 0.05 should be okay on all axes, and then we can increase the number. Let's start with 5000 for now, and now you have this ring. Okay, and transform this, make it 650 so it's centered. Okay, perfect. Now in the cloner we can enable range, and we give some randomness now to these particles. We can do an offset of 5 on all axes, and we can also change the rotation from 2, 5, 1. Let's see what else we can change. No, that's okay for now. Now we can go ahead and create a linked effector, and we want to change from sphere to unbound, so affect the entire shape. And we're gonna select noise. To start seeing what this is gonna do, we can once again do a 5 on all axes for location strength, and we're gonna add some pan movement. 2, 2, 2. Okay, and now we can increase the frequency to something like 25, and now we have some moving particles. Really cool. I would say we can probably randomize the scale of this and it's done through here. Scale uniform enable. We do 0.2 to 1, and I think I'm gonna reduce the size of the scale max as well. Let's do 0.7. Yeah, I like this one better. We can increase the number to, let's try 25,000. Okay, now we can reduce the radius to make it fit inside. But actually no, let's increase the size of the glass pipe. Yeah, something like that works. Maybe a bit less with this. Okay, that's cool. Cool, now we have our first particle here. I'm happy with the size and shape of our glass pipe, so we're gonna go ahead, and before continuing on with all the rest of the effects, we're gonna model this. I already have one here, but I'm gonna show you how to model these connectors of the pipe. And let's save. So back in the modeling mode, we're gonna bring in a cylinder. Okay, now you can copy these values here, so you're gonna end up with this disk, same as the one I have, and click accept once you're done. Then with this one still selected, you're gonna go to model, polygroup edit, and let's see, we select, actually no, before this, let's move this up a little bit, so we want to have a view from the bottom as well while we do this. Okay, polygroup edit again, we select this face and shift select the bottom face. Once they're both selected, I'm gonna select inset, and we can, yeah, I think this is gonna work like that. Perfect. Accept, polygroup edit again, and we're gonna select all these faces now. Okay, so you want to end up with just this and this selected. Once they're all selected, go to bevel, and can give a value of, well, maybe 4, 5. I think 4 is good. 4. And subdivisions, yeah, 0. We want a sharp line here. Accept action, and now we can select this and delete, and as well as this one. So we have some nice connectors here that we can use for our glass pipe. Click accept. Now I know you can see it through here, but when we assign the material, we can make it's going to be, I forgot to show you this, I selected double-sided, so let's assign a material now just to show you what I mean. So this is the base material that we created before, and if you select this one here on the left panel, you'll see two-sided. Okay, make sure this is selected. And which one was this? It was pipe connector. Okay, for the pipe connector, what I did, I gave a value of 1 for metallic. I made it like a bit rough, so it's not completely shiny, like this. And I left everything as it was. Okay, now that this is ready, we can bring it closer to our pipe. Actually, let's do this. Let's reset the position, 650. Okay, so now we know that's right in the middle, and we can go in here and see if the size is okay. If no, we can resize it. Let's switch to unlit. That looks alright to me. Maybe slightly smaller. Like this. Yes, perfect. Okay. Now we can alt left click to duplicate this. Okay. This is perfectly lined up with the other one, and then once again we're gonna we're gonna go to rotation mode, alt left click, and we duplicate it like this, rotate it 90 degrees. Yeah, it's pretty much okay, and then we can duplicate this again and bring it at the bottom. And then we have our pipe completed. Perfect. Delete this one. What I also like to do, I want to merge all of these assets that we created to create one single mesh. Okay, and the way we do this, we're gonna select our pipe. If, by the way, if you know a glass material is applied and you try to click on it, it won't click on it, won't select that thing. I don't know why. It's just like it might goes through the glass. So we can type torus. So we haven't renamed this, and then I'm gonna shift select this other connectors. Once I have everything selected, I'm gonna go to modeling, and I'm going to select merge, and I'm going to make a new object. You can name it whatever you want, so we can rename it pipes. So I'm going to click set. Okay, now we have everything merged. If you move this, you see everything is together. Perfect. So far we have our glass pipe with the connectors, and we have our first effector, our first cloner with effector linked. Okay, now it's time to move on to create more of this, and we're going to create a second one by selecting the cloner, pressing Ctrl D, and we have a second cloner with a second shape already assigned, already parented to it. Okay, in order to make a distinction between the two, we're going to assign another material. Let's go to material. I already have another one, so once again create another instance of the master material, and okay, this I'm gonna assign it here. In the cloner, we're going to change some values. From 5, we're gonna switch to -5 on all axes. Here as well, we're gonna do -0.2, -0.5, and so on. And rather than creating a linked effector and having to re-enter all the previous values that we did, if we know we're going to create something very similar, what we can do is go to the effector in the outlier. Actually, let me rename this to effector 1. we can duplicate this with Control D. It's going to be effector 2. Now this effector 2 will be assigned also to cloner 1, but we don't want this. So let's go to cloner 1, type effector. You have 2 index here, 2 arrays, and delete this and click plus sign. So this is cloner 1, so we're going to assign effector 1. Then go to cloner 2, delete this and assign effector 2. Okay, and now that we have these ones, we can go to effector 2, and if you want to, I don't know, make something different than already is, we can again assign a values, opposite values, to give some more randomness. The glass pipe is filled up with our particles moving around with different colors, create something interesting. Now it's time for our logo reveal inside these circular pipes. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to do this inside another level. So you can create a new level, and basic one or an empty level, whatever you prefer. Let's create a basic level. It's some light already. Okay, so we need to create another material. Okay, I'm gonna create it here outside everything, so I'm gonna delete it later because I already have my own. So material, let's call it logo. Double click, right click, type texture sample, and with this one selected, go here and search for UE4, I think it was. This one should come by default with the engine, so you should have that one too. So this is just for demonstration purposes. Obviously you can put any logo that you want, and that's all you need to do. Apply, save. Okay. Now you can bring in a plane, raise it up a little, maybe let's get it up with this of 5 on each axis, and then we can assign this material. Okay, perfect. Now we're gonna draw a spline. You do this from the modeling mode. Oh yeah, great, draw spline. Let's go closer and start from here. If you then click and drag, you can adjust the curvature. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can move this one later. So once you're done, obviously you see here it's not perfect, but you can still move things around, adjust the shape, something like that. But I'm not going to waste too much time on it, just for demonstration purposes. You can spend as much time as you like to make it perfect. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is. Now you have this spline actor inside the outlier. What we want to do is Control C, and I think we need to save this level, but because we're gonna get prompted to it anyway. And then once you copied this, you want to go back to the previous level, which is go to recent level, tutorial, save selected, yes, and call it level logo. Now we're back inside our level. Okay, now we have the spline actor. There is, we can reset the location, we can raise it up to 650. Okay. And we can scale it down a little bit. Something like that should do. Maybe a little bit more, like this. Okay. Now we have our spline actor centered inside our glass pipe. Make sure you save it. Okay, so now we can go to our spline actor. Let's rename it to spline logo, and let's go to cloner 2, duplicate that, so we have clone free, shape free, and now in the cloner we can select, change from circle to a spline, and we can sample the actor, or we can select it from here, spline logo. Now, I don't know if you can see, there are some particles spinning around. Let's duplicate effector 2, so we have effector 3, back to the cloner, delete this, and just assign effector 3. Okay, it's in the cloner again. We're gonna increase the sample count to 20,000. Okay, now this is too much, so we can go to the effector and change some values. Effector 3. We can do, let's try 2 on all axes. Maybe even less. Maybe we can do 1 and 1. Okay, that's better. And let's see, maybe some more frequency. That's okay for now. And then we can create a fourth one. So go to cloner 3, duplicate. So we have cloner 4, shape 4. Let's assign a different material so we can tell the difference between the two. Let's go to material, let's assign this other color. Okay. And once again, in the cloner, go to effector. We have effector 3, so we need to duplicate this, effector 4, and back to the cloner, delete this and just assign effector 4 and change the values. So we have can do -1, -1, and -1, and then the frequency sorry, no, in the effector, to go to the effector 4, and then we do here as well, -1, -1. Now you can choose whatever value you like, just for demonstration purposes. And frequency is okay. We need to increase the sample count maybe. Let's do 30,000. Maybe I want to offset a little bit more. Let's try. Yeah, something like that. Okay, now we have the glass pipe, the particles inside the glass pipe, the logo, and the effectors on the logo. All is left to do now is lighting the scene and give it some animations. So let's start with creating a background. We can delete this one and we can import a plane. Simple plane, reset its location, move it up 650, rotate it 90 degrees, and scale it up maybe 20 times. Let's see, that's perfect. Okay, we have this light here, we can rotate them again 90 degrees, so they're gonna point it up our logo, and we can move this plane back. Probably scale it up 50 times. Okay, cool. So we have this one that we can move just above, and now we can assign a material. I already have a background material that I created before. Once again, right click on the material, create another instance, change the color, change the roughness, whatever you like, and drag and drop. And I'm gonna bring in also a point light. Once again, reset 650 so it's centered, and we can reduce the attenuation radius so it only affects this area, and increase the intensity, change the color, something like that is okay. And then I'm gonna duplicate this and I'm gonna bring it here, and I'm gonna increase the intensity, something like that, it's okay. You can spend some more time on lighting. Options are endless when it comes to lighting. And now we can add another effector, but this time we're not gonna duplicate the existing effectors. We're gonna go back to Motion Design and we're gonna bring in another cloner, and reset. We have 650, and we can delete, actually no, Now we're gonna duplicate one of the effectors here, and we're gonna change man bound to plane. Okay, and we're gonna change from noise to offset, and we're gonna reduce the scale down to 0, and I'll show you why in a minute. Because now when you move this, it's gonna make everything disappear. So this scales it up to 0, and when you move it back from 0 back to 1. Okay, I'm actually gonna rotate it 90 degrees, so 180 degrees. Okay, now the reason why this is only affecting the real logo is because we duplicated the effector 4, which was already assigned to the cloner 4 and 5. So it's gonna have an effect on both. If you want to have everything disappear, you're gonna have to go to the cloner 1, type effectors, and you're gonna add a second array element, and you're gonna select effector 5. No. And now you have everything disappear. Okay, so now the very last thing that is missing is this stars, shiny objects, whatever you want to call them, that are spinning around the logo. And then we've added all the elements that are needed for this project. In order to do this, we need to add another cloner, and we're gonna change the name to something like stars maybe. Once again, we're gonna raise it up to 650 on the z-axis. This one. We can delete the default clone. Yes, please. And we need to bring in another shape. Bring this in. Press it 0, 650. Okay, and let's make it movable again, and parent it to the new cloner. So now we have a grid. We want to change that to cylinder. Okay, let's increase the count. And let's reduce the size of this to 0.05 on all axes. Okay. Rotate it 90 degrees. Bring it forward. No. We can probably increase the count even more. I really love this effect. Okay, now we can change the material, and I believe I have already created emissive material. Yes, flying particles, that's the one. So I'm gonna select it and assign it. Okay. Now we can create a linked effector, and let's enable forces and vortex force enabled, set it to 1 on the x-axis. Need to change this to unbound, and okay, it's moving the wrong direction. Okay, we need to enable drag force. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 1 on the 0 on all axis. Okay, so 0 on all axis and enable drag force. I'm gonna need to rename this effector because otherwise I'm gonna lose it. Let's rename it to effector stars. Okay. I want to also enable attraction force. Yeah, that's a lot cooler. So they're gonna stay orbiting around rather than escaping. I think maybe the vortex force is too strong, so let's halve that. Yeah, value of 90 is the sweet spot. Okay, we have everything. It's time to move on to sequencer and make the animations. So I believe that when you open this level, you should have a sequencer opening as well. So just drag that. I'm gonna place it down here, and I think I need to move myself out of the way. I'm gonna put myself smaller as well. Okay. Now we have to bring into sequencer our pipe. Then we want to bring in cloner 1, cloner 2, and effector 5. And I think that's it. Okay, let's start from the pipe. Oh, one more thing, the camera. I'm gonna bring in a cinema camera actor. Okay, so let's select the pipe, and we're gonna keyframe the initial position at the first frame 0, 0, 0, 0, and then we're gonna move to the last frame, and we're going to rotate this 180 degrees and keyframe that again. So when you scrub through the timeline now, you should be seeing this one moving. That's perfect. Okay. The same thing we can do with cloner 1 and 2. Initial position. Oh, we need to add a transform track. Keyframe. Go to the last keyframe again. 180 degrees and keyframe again. Yes. Cloner 2, same thing, add the transform track. Keyframe the initial position, move to the last frame, and rotate this 180 degrees, keyframe again, and now we should have all of them moving together. That's perfect. Okay, another thing that I want to do, I want this pipe to rotate around, so I'm gonna go back to the pipes. The initial position is already keyframed, so I can move straight to the last keyframe. I'm gonna select it and I'm gonna spin this around all the way. Yeah, if I go all the way, it's gonna bring me back to 0, so I need to do like that. But actually, a better way to do this, with this one selected, I'm gonna go to the transform sliders here, and let's see what this is. I'm gonna do like that. 684, no, 675, 676, and I'm gonna hit the keyframe here, and let's see if that works. Yes. Okay. Now I want to also these particles inside. I want them to spin. I want them to spin one way clockwise and the other one anti-clockwise. So I'm gonna repeat the process, and I'm gonna go to the cloner. I'm gonna do it from here because it's better. And so first keyframe is already done. So we're gonna move to the last. I'm gonna select the keyframe, and I'm gonna move this clockwise around about 656 should be okay. Maybe I want them to spin a bit slower, so rather than 6.6 I'm gonna do 426. Let's see how that looks. Must with a little bit of delay inside. Okay, and now cloner 2, same thing, but this time I'm gonna make it rotate the other way. So last keyframe, let's select it, and so that was supposed to be minus values. 426. Keyframe that. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I'm supposed to maybe do positive 426. Third is the same. Okay, yeah, so now they're spinning different directions. Okay. I mean, you can play around with the values and see what you're happy with. Okay, now the last thing that we need to keyframe is the effector 5. Let's move it to the initial position, which is here. We need to add a transform track for this one too. keyframe, move to the last frame, move the effector all the way here, and keyframe again. But I'm gonna move this one slightly back because I want all the particles and the logo to be revealed before it spins all the way around. Maybe here is good. Okay, I like that. Oh, actually there's one thing missing, which is the stars. So we're gonna bring in the effector stars, and then we're gonna add an effector component, and once again hit the plus sign and select from this enabled one that we need to keyframe. It's disabled, keyframe, move to the frame 0, click enable, force update cloner, and now it starts at frame 0. I think the position, I'm not convinced with the position, it doesn't look like it's centered. It is centered, but maybe we can increase the radius a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Yes, that was the look I was looking for. Perfect. Now we can keyframe the camera and we're pretty much done. So frame 0, we can go closer. Okay. And frame 0 we keyframe, then we move to last frame and we move the camera back. About here. And keyframe again. Let's play it back. Oh, you need to always reset the cloner. And maybe, okay, we need to maybe give a few frames ahead. Okay. Let's play it back once again. Let's reset the cloner and play it back once again, just to make sure everything is okay. Beautiful. And now the very last step is rendering out. We'll move a render queue. If you don't have movie render queue, you can get it here from the plugins. Type movie render queue. Check the box, restart the engine, and make sure you save everything before. And once you're here, I'm gonna leave everything as it is. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna get into render settings now, but you're gonna have a JPG sequence by default. Then you can choose the destination. You can create a specific folder for it. And then you're gonna have to bring these frames into a tool like DaVinci or anything that is able to read frames and turn them into a video. This is the end of the tutorial. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. I know it was a long one, but you know, eventually we ended up with great results. If you end up making your own version of this motion design exercise and you're gonna post about it, if you want to tag me, I'd love to see what you create, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.